Hello, everybody. My name is Floris. Oh no. Yes. Hello, everybody. My name is Floris. How to find a balance between who you are and what you can be. There's the aspect where who you are is a thing, and we often take that as a given, and sometimes we take that as a limitation, a self-limitation. I am this person or that person, and this is all I can do. And there's the aspect where we can be. Do we dare to grow? Now, to grow doesn't only mean that we learn new things, we acquire new skills, but it's also that we allow ourselves to be bigger, that we allow ourselves to act. This we can see very well in theater class or in dance class, or as children. We see often children can behave very shy, and then they ask, can you make a jump? And whoops, there's the little jump. And then the teacher shouts, you can do bigger. Because, and the inner fears often that we will be looked as foolish. And it takes confidence and growth of confidence that we take the big jump. If I have to look like as an actor angry, then, but I'm afraid, then something like this will happen. But if I really go for it, then it grows. And the same is in business or in as we present ourselves as a professional. There's the I hope he likes me and I hope they accept me. And that will give the other party, your potential client, the feeling that you're weak or don't know what you're doing. So it's very important that we not only build professional skills, that we also build confidence. Now, confidence is something different than bluffing, because we also have people who bluff, and somehow most people see through bluffing. And it is very powerful if we if we develop inner strength by not bluffing, but by being who we are and accepting what is. And I have a nice story. I was hired after several years not being in the film business to create commercials. So I was asked to write and direct commercials for a company. And they hired me. And I felt, oh my God, the equipment has changed. I don't know exactly how it works. I never worked in a big company before. So I'm going to make a lot of mistakes. So either I had to bluff, hey, I'm a director and you hired me, so I know everything, or I had to go ask any question I had. And I felt if I bluff, I'm out in 2 weeks, so I'm going to ask all the questions. So I walk into the studio and it says, so this is an editor. What does the editor do? This, if you know the movie business, is a stupid question. Everyone should know what the editor is. But I asked all the questions I had, because I didn't know what this editor was doing and who decides what cameraman to hire. Do I have a choice in this? How do I find out the budget? Can I talk to the clients, etc.? Lots of questions. And after 2 weeks, I was called to the boss, and I was really afraid, because the boss might now think, hey, Floris, you don't know shit. So I sat in front of the boss, and he says, Floris, you're so professional. The way you ask questions, they help our whole organization. Do you know that? You're so professional. You help our whole organization because you ask all these questions that even we as an organization didn't yet have answers to. So then I knew it was good to be honest in what I didn't know. Now, there's a difference, and this is something you have to learn, between being honest and being weak again. So if I ask the question, so what does the editor do? And can I choose the cameraman? This is professional attitude, while in reality my feeling is, okay, what's happening? I don't know. But if I would go, so what does the editor do? Already people will smell fear. So your emotions are totally allowed. It is allowed to be afraid. It's allowed to be sad if a situation is terrible. It's allowed to be angry if a situation demands anger. But if you do not have mastery of those emotions, others will perceive you as weak. Yeah, but why are you doing this? Will be perceived as weak. Whereas if you go, I wonder why you are doing this, because it irritates me. So that is honestly where the other feels you are in control of your emotions, and they have to deal with it seriously. Of course, sometimes you have to show your emotion. To give two examples, one was when I worked for a company as a game designer and developer, and I was doing the wrong job. So I was in the wrong work, doing the wrong work, and physically it was also not good for me. So I went to my boss, and he said, "Yeah, Flor, we cannot do anything." And then finally, I really smashed with my fist on the table and said, "My job has to change." And then he listened. So sometimes the little bit extra emotion is necessary to reach people who otherwise you can't reach. Same is for leadership. If a disaster happens to a country, like say 1,000 people die, and the leader goes, 1,000 people die, this is bad, and we need to solve this issue, everybody will feel terrible about this leader. Whereas it's the leader who goes, 1,000 people died, I'm devastated. This is a disaster that shouldn't have happened, and I want to know why and how it could have happened. I'm saddened for the loss of everyone. That's the leadership we expect of a leader who is being touched by humans and by human feelings. So even if you are very powerful, you need to show that you have still emotions, that they impact you and they steer you, because we are biological beings. And our body system is very important in that, because our body system tells us if we walk on the street, this is a safe street or this is not a safe street. Our body system tells, this guy is angry and he tries to pressure me into a deal I don't want. If you can't listen to your body, and especially for IT people, this is very important, and this is e-commerce. So I assume a lot of IT people are watching this. If you cannot communicate well, if you don't build and work on your social skills, you will make mistakes. When I first start training people with in the social skill area in IT business, I said to the group I had, because they looked at me, why should we learn the social skills? We are very good at IT and that's our job. So why do we need to know about how to work with emotions and social skills? And then I said, guys, mostly men, guys, if you don't understand your client right and you build something different than what the client expects because you understood it wrong, or because you didn't dare to ask the questions what they meant exactly, and you wanted to look smart, you build the whole thing, and that could cost hundreds of thousands of euros or dollars. And then they looked at me, no, Floris, that's not true. That cost millions. So millions of euros, dollars, whatever coin in the world are lost because people don't understand each other and not don't have courage or social skills enough to be more precise, to work out what is exactly meant. So, who am I is a question we all need to ask. What fits me? If you cannot be a leader, don't be a leader. At the same time, we can all grow to be a leader, and we can change. So on one hand, very important, I think, is integrity. So the word honor means little to me. That is, I think, a word used by countries to get soldiers to die for the leaders. It's a personal opinion. You don't have to agree. But the word integrity, do I stand for what I do? Can you reason with me? Can you trust that what I will say, that I will do what I say, etc., is very important. And integrity can also mean, I'm not good at this, or for this you better ask someone else, because that increases your reliability. It may lose you some customers, but it may also make that you don't work on jobs or don't do things that you couldn't deliver, and that you put a lot of effort in to prove you can do something you can't. So better is it to have high integrity and be honest in what you can deliver and what not. Then there's, of course, also the level of what you can be. Now, I use, if I do training for people, like in this case, I'm talking to people in Pakistan. This is new for me, so I may make mistakes towards your culture because I don't understand the Pakistani culture very well. I am talking to some Pakistani, I have some Pakistani friends, and from them in the conversation, I learn what works or doesn't work. I learn about differences, and I learn also all humans are humans, and we're all biological beings, and that doesn't change because of our culture. As I said, to understand your biological being, is it safe? Is it a situation about power? If I talk to a client who feels very uptight, is it because he has little time and is in a rush, or is it because he's angry that I'm not delivering? I need to know and be able to research those differences. And if I don't know, to ask about them. So to build extra, you can always ask, what extra can I do, or what little extra adventure or task can I get in this assignment? So in this assignment, for me, it is to talk to you without any guidance, interviewer, etc., to talk in a straight line that's hopefully very clear for you about how can I develop myself beyond what I'm currently. So honesty where you are is very important. In therapy, they say the best way to change yourself when you are damaged or hurt in a certain way is acknowledgement and acceptance. So who am I? What's wrong with me? Like, for instance, if you have an alcohol problem, that's probably not so much in Pakistan, but in the Netherlands it happens, or a drug problem, or another problem, then you cannot change that if you don't accept, hey, this is a wrong thing I'm doing and it's hurting me. So acceptance is very important, and awareness that it's there. Only then you can change and say, hey, then I need to stop drinking, I stop fighting, stop arguing with people, or I need to start listening to my partner. So to develop ourselves, we need to be aware of what's happening. We need to accept where we are now, be honest about it. So that's also integrity, also to clients. And at the same time, we can challenge ourselves to do that little extra or that little adventure and sometimes be real. So sometimes I say to clients, this I know very well, and you can buy this service of me and this training. That I'm developing new, and it's a little bit of experiment, but I think it's much more interesting to go in that direction, but you have the choice. And then the fun thing happens, and often the client wants the little bit more adventurous thing, where new things can happen, because for all the participants, it will also feel like we're part of an adventure. Something is being developed here, like in an online training. It's beautiful when people feel they're part of a journey, rather than he's just delivering what he knows and I don't know. If anyone who's listening has a question, you can, of course, in the chat, write your question, because I can see the chat. So one way to develop yourself to become who you can be is therefore allowing experiments within the frame that you're already in. Expand your frame. A second situation is to bring yourself in situations where you don't know yet. So if you can't swim, it's not a good plan to being thrown in the middle of the swimming pool without any thing to float on. But it is okay sometimes to be put down in a strange city where you don't know the way and find your way to the station. That is already safer. So you have to feel what works for you. What unknown territory can you enter where you have to save yourself, and in saving yourself in the situation, you are learning things that you couldn't do before. Then there's the allow people. So a lot of people will ask me and you and or your business for things they expect you can do or want you to do, or friends will ask you and family will ask you, can you do this because we trust you are the right one for this. And often when we then withdraw because we feel, oh my God, I don't know if I can do it, that's your personal judgment. If others judge that they trust you with something, like, can you do this speech? Can you talk to this group of people? And we withdraw because we are afraid to make mistakes. We are denying ourselves space to grow, and actually already somebody else judged that they expect us to be able to do that. So to have a yes attitude, to have a yes attitude to invitations to grow and go and show yourself is a very good thing to grow. The feeling of so it's very good to dare to fail. Another way to get into the areas where you don't know yet is to have a plan. So if you are the sales manager, then perhaps become the manager one higher level up. This is ambition. Ambition is a very good way to grow. Now, and there's the Peter Principle in business. I don't know if you hear it. It's very famous in the West. There's a book called The Peter Principle. It's that people always grow one level too much that they can handle. So I can handle level 1, and I'm doing very good. So get a promotion. I go to level 2. Do very good. I get a promotion, and then I'm struggling because that was not my field. And then I start failing because I'm not in my field, but I'm struggling. But this is the better salary, so I want to stay in this position. I'm hurting myself and others in situations. So here it's very good to also, at some point, I have some friends who refused to be promoted because they said, this is my level. Here I feel secure and safe. This I can do very well. And then you have to stay at that level. Also, sometimes it's because you love that level much more. If you love sales, I'm very personally bad at sales, but if you love sales and you really love the dynamic between clients and making the sale happen, and then you go managing the organization, that's a very different work. And it may be that that's not for you. So then stick with what you love to do. So knowing what you love to do and where you love to be is different from ambition, where you try to grow regardless of it fits you or not. So once again, this is the balance between who am I, what fits me, and what is more is possible. So we are growing in what we do. And also, as you can see, I have some gray hair. So as we grow older, we also learn to trust more things. So a part of our growing just happens when we grow older. And one thing is then important for growing older, because you all also have very stupid older people, is to pay attention. And then a lot of things will take care of themselves. So if I pay attention how it works in organizations, if I pay attention why this training didn't go too well, in the next training I can improve that. So take note of how you're doing and take note of what you can still improve when you do the next group. So that's another way to just take note and seek to improve technically. Don't blame yourself for mistakes. Mistakes happen. If you work with a group or send a client the wrong package, these mistakes will happen. Don't blame yourself for them, because the mistake is already the pain. But try to improve. What did we go wrong? Where did it go wrong? How can we improve this? And by doing that, we become stronger and better in what we can deliver. And then there's the dreaming. Who am I? And what do I dream of doing? Currently, I'm dreaming of starting a new kind of school, new kind of training, from young people to old people, about everything we should have learned at school, but never have learned at school. So if I ask a lot of professionals like you, what are the 5 most important things in your profession, capacities, capabilities, things you need to know that make the difference? I asked this question to a lot of trainers all around the world, and always knowledge about what you need to be able to do is only 1/5 at maximum. The rest has to do with social skills. It has to be leadership skills. It has to do with confidence. It has to do with being able to listen. It has to do with having a plan or a vision for the future. So to develop these skills, often this is forgotten in schools. Schools are so knowledge driven because we can measure how we develop in education. And sadly, we cannot measure how we socially develop very well. We don't have yet instruments for that. Now, a lot of businesses try to develop those measurements for that. And they take a lot of input from gaming. But somehow I have not yet seen anything that's adequate or helpful or even humane. So, and we need more humans also in business, and certainly also in e-commerce, because the capitalist reality of our world is that we try to expand. But here also we need to have the integrity. What is good for the world? What is good for our country? What is good for our city? What is good for my family? If I work myself to death, it's not good for my family, nor for my country, nor for my people, nor not for the world. If I sell more and more plastics that will end up in the ocean, I'm not good for the world. And I'm doing something that might also be damaging to myself, or end up as in the stomach of my children, as the fish we are catching currently always already contain plastics. So we also have to have a moral compass within. What can we do and what cannot? And what is better for us all and what is not? So ask yourself big questions. Don't be afraid of big questions, because if you ask yourself big questions, this is one more way to grow as a person. And it also will develop your leadership, because real leaders ask the big questions. Little people say, the glass is not clean in the restaurant. I ordered a clean glass and this glass is not clean enough. That's for petty people. So focus on the big questions and try to be of influence in how to answer them. Also, a way to develop yourself is to ask slow questions. So slow questions are questions that you work on and think of for a long time. For instance, if you think a good close question, what makes me a leader? Or what am I a leader in? Or what is my purpose in the world? Or how can I best solve the poverty in my city? These are big questions. And these don't have easy answers. But being with a question for a long while, in this case, for instance, Rian Alawala, some of you may know, is a Pakistani entrepreneur, and he is worried about the difference between Pakistan and the West. He's actually the first person that made me bring to Pakistan, and now I'm, because of here of other Pakistani, like Rabia Nasir Mahmood. I hope I pronounced this right. So they ask questions. How can we improve relationships with other cultures, with the West? How can we build bridges? And for this, they try to build bridges in ways that help and initiate interaction between the different cultures. And this is a conscious thought. And for this, they try different things. So one of the ways that Rian does it, if find as many as 500 friends in the West on Facebook. Another way is that under his guidance, people start interviewing people from not only their own culture and their own within Pakistan, but also all the different regions in Pakistan, or very different professions. And these interviews also help to develop yourself and learn yourself about very different people. So it's also a good thing to start interviewing your heroes. If you want to grow yourself and expand, find a balance between who you are. But if you interview your heroes, it may lead to networks, combinations, possibilities you didn't know you had before. And a last thing to develop yourself is start teaching what you want to learn. Now, this may seem, but how can I teach what I don't know yet? I'm a teacher, and I sometimes teach what I'm learning. I told you already, that's an adventure. And by bringing others on this adventure, I will ask questions I really have. And they will sound more sincere than I say, okay, what is 1 + 1? Already, this question will bore you to bits because, yeah, of course, sure, we know. But I would say, what makes an online leader and how is that different from real world leadership is an important question. I don't know yet have all the answers to. I bet most of that is the same, but there might be very little differences that are very, very important. Like, how do we talk online differently? How do we announce ourselves online? How do we announce ourselves in words when our body is not present? These are things that each e-commerce needs to think about. How do we present ourselves? Do we present ourselves only to Pakistan, or do we present ourselves to the rest of the world? If we want to present us to the rest of the world, how do we then use, what language do we use? How do we send out? Who do we approach to spread the message? Do we have something that's newsworthy that people should know about? So now I'm talking partially also about sales, because also all business are shaped by their clients. If I offer training and everyone calls me to do a training on creativity, I'm a creativity expert. If I'm also called to do authentic leadership or storytelling or personal development, then suddenly I'm also a personal development trainer. If only people, my clients, are only asking me about personal development, then I'm shaped by that into really just the personal development department. I personally try to do different fields because I enjoy the variation, and it makes me much more alive when I do something I haven't done in a while or is new to me, a little bit new to me. It's much more interesting and I feel much more alive. So this is a final question that I think is very, very important in finding that balance. What makes you come alive and go and do that? This, I think, gave you a lot of hints of what's possible to develop yourself from who you are currently to who you can be. And to play with that difference, I think, is a challenge, but also an interesting adventure for everyone. I think this was the show. Any questions? I will put in the chat something, but also if you type in about.me/Floris Koot, Floris.Koot, you can find me. I will type it in the chat, and I hope someone who in the e-commerce conference will put this up. So if you have questions, that's where you can find me. Since nobody is stopping me, perhaps either I leave the studio. This is an interesting question. Now you can see, how do I react to this? I can conclude. I concluded. So this is it. I hope to see you well. Tomorrow I do another talk about creativity and how to develop your creativity. So I hope to see you then, and lots of you. And thank you for your attention. And have a great day.